section or the last segment of the cell. For those of you who missed the last two videos would know, or for those of you who couldn't make it for the last two videos, basically we covered the differences between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. Then in the second video we delved a little bit more into the eukaryotic cell, where we contrasted the differences between animal and plant cells. And for this video, which is the final segment under the cell section, we'll be looking at the organelles of the animal cell and their functions. Just to tell you guys, this is a little bit of a recap of work that you've done before, so I'm not going to be going into too much detail. This is a summary and a much quicker way for you guys to understand and also to remember the work. Also, I've made a list of important concepts I would like you guys to know or familiarize yourselves, or there are concepts that I'm using in this video, so I will show you that later in the video. Okay, so to get started, the first component or organelle that we will be looking at is the nucleus. So the nucleus is one of the most important components or organelles of the cell, if not the most important. Let's say the cell is a factory. If the cell had to be a factory, your nucleus would be like the owner or the manager, because the owner, the manager, is always giving orders, in the factory, telling the workers what to do, and that's exactly what the nucleus does in the cell. The nucleus is the one that is regulating the cell activity, giving commands to or orders to the other organelles in order for them to do their function. Also, the nucleus is very important because it's the home to our genetic material, which is known as DNA. So as you can see, these little things over here, they are called chromosomes. Chromosomes are basically made up of DNA segments. That's where our genetic material is in. And then the chromatin is a network, which is also known as the chromatin network. It consists of our DNA as well as proteins. We will be going way more into detail with this in later section of the work. This is just to give you guys an overview, so you won't be super lost getting to that section, and especially if you guys have forgotten this work a little bit. We have the nucleolus, which is inside. Also important to note, the nucleus it has a membrane around it, so it's a membrane bound organelle. Then for the next structure we will be looking at will be our mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's also known as the powerhouse. So remember what I said, if the cell had to be a factory, I think the mitochondria would be like the power supply, giving electricity to the factory, giving light, allowing the workers to do what they have to do. So the mitochondria is basically the organelle responsible for providing energy to the cell, and it's providing energy by releasing or producing what is known as ATP, also known as adenine triphosphate molecules. So ATP is produced by this process called cellular respiration, a long, lengthy process where it's basically just taking oxygen molecules and through a series of conversions and breaking down releasing chemical energy to produce ATP. For those of you who would like to pursue a career as a scientist or go more into the life science or biology field, we'll learn more about cellular respiration in detail. As I mentioned before, it's quite lengthy. So that is your mitochondria. They provide the energy to the cell or the electricity to the factory. If we go on to the next structure that we have what is known as our endoplasmic reticulum, also known as the ER. The ER is basically, or comprises of two sections: the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, also known as the smooth ER, and then we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which is your rough ER. Then it's all in the name, guys. Smooth ER is actually quite smooth, and it can be seen in the picture over here. And if you look at the rough ER, it has like little other structures on it, which I will get into later. So the smooth ER and the rough ER, they will have different functions. Smooth ER is actually responsible for the synthesis, the production of lipids. So lipids is a macromolecule, one of the most important macromolecules. are basically fat molecules. So the smooth ER will be responsible for producing that, and as well as cholesterol and steroids, whereas the rough ER is again responsible or assisting in protein synthesis. As you can see over here, these little yellow balls are actually your ribosomes. So the rough ER will actually have a lot of ribosomes attached to it because it assists with protein synthesis. Moving on to the next structure, we have what is known as our Golgi apparatus. So the Golgi apparatus is basically the place or the structure that is responsible for packaging the proteins in membrane-bound vesicles or vesicles, however you guys want to pronounce it. These vesicles will then be secreted out of the cell along with other hormones. Your Golgi apparatus is basically like your trucks, the trucks that deliver a lot of things across the country and things like that. They package the things, put them in the truck, and off they go. So that's what the Golgi apparatus is basically responsible for. And as you can see, yes, these are examples of vesicles that are ready to be transported out of the cell. Then we go to the next structure. I just spoke about the structure a little bit earlier when talking about the ER. This is what is known as your ribosome. Ribosome is where the magic happens. So ribosome is the site or the home of protein synthesis. And if you look at this picture over here, you will see a long chain of amino acids, which is also part of proteins. And you will see tRNA, mRNA, and codons. Now, I know these all look familiar to you because you've done this in school, but we will focus on that a little bit more later in another segment, and it will make much more sense for those of you who struggle with that section of the work. So your ribosomes work together with the Golgi apparatus as well as the endoplasmic reticulum, to make proteins, to package them, and to get them out of the cell. So in the factory, those three components, they're all working together. They're like the people, the workers, they're producing the product and helping them to get out, to be delivered where it needs to be delivered. So that's the ribosomes. Then we have our lysosomes. So in our factory, products are being produced by our workers, and when products are being produced, there's also a lot of waste being produced. Our lysosomes will then be responsible of actually breaking down or getting rid of toxins and waste from the cell. Lysosomes are also responsible for breaking down macromolecules. I've mentioned this word before. One of the macromolecules are your lipids. The other three are carbohydrates, nucleic acids, and proteins. So lysosomes are able to break them down and also to get rid of the waste. So in the factory, they will be the garbage disposal guys. So that's a good way to remember them. And then some honorable mentions, things that I didn't mention before. We also have our cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm, as can be seen in this picture over here, is basically this blue over here, and it's where all the organelles are contained in. However, as you can see in this picture, the nucleus is the only part that is not in the cytoplasm. So remember that all organelles are in the cytoplasm except for the nucleus. Okay. Then we also have a vacuole. So you won't see the vacuole on here because it's actually very small, and when looking at the plant cell, the vacuole makes up about, I'm not exactly sure now, but I'm sure it's about 60 to 70% of the cell, of the plant cell, whereas in animal cell it's significantly smaller because it doesn't store as much water and things like that as compared to the plant cell. So the vacuole has endocytosis, it does exocytosis in the animal cell. It also has storage functions, but on a much lesser scale to that of the plants. You guys don't need to really worry about exo and endocytosis right now. We won't get into too much detail about that. So, as I mentioned before, in order for you guys to really remember the cell, think of it as a factory. Just to recap, the nucleus is like the manager of the factory, giving out the orders, cell regulation in order for the cell to work. Then you have your mitochondria. It's giving the electricity, the energy to the factory. It's giving the power to the cell in order for the organelles to do its function. Then you also have your your endoplasmic reticulum, your Golgi apparatus, and your ribosomes. Those are your workers in the factory. So they are the ones that are working hard, they are producing the product, which are your proteins, and your Golgi apparatus are packaging them and ready to transport them out of the cell. So that is your workers and your transportation of your product. And then you would get the garbage disposal guys, which is your lysosomes. They get rid of the waste, the toxic waste in the cell, just like the garbage people in or the people who get rid of the waste, when product is produced in the factory. The lysosomes will play that role and to get rid of those extra toxins that would be detrimental in the cell. Your cytoplasm, basically where everything is, it's like kind of like the the premises of the factory. And then your vacuole, just something small. It's not super significant as it is in the plant cell. And then some important concepts for you guys to know. Of course, I've mentioned it: cellular respiration, chromosomes, the chromatin network, and then macromolecules and lipids. So just remember to go over that. Also, there's an activity up for you guys can do, and I will definitely be seeing you in the next section. Okay.